Sorry. Trustee Johannes is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan.
Yes, I'm here.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk. Here. Trustee Johannes.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Here.
Trustee Quinlan.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can you please read our, Trustee Polk, can you please read our affirmation of the statement of cooperation?
Absolutely. The Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees is committed to our effectiveness as a board. Through an annual self-evaluation and the establishment of meaningful goals, we dedicate ourselves to functioning as a high-performing team on behalf of the people we represent in helping students reach their educational goals. We therefore commit to honoring and upholding these commitments in words and in action. The full statement of cooperation is attached to our agenda, but in summary, we commit to build trust and seek to understand each other, be prepared and follow good governance and ethical protocols, model the behavior we want others to exhibit.
Thank you. Can we now have a report of action taken in closed section? No report. Thank you. 3.6, we now have the swearing-in ceremony for incoming student trustees serving academic year 2026-2027. If you'll meet me up by the podium.
Yes, Board President. Pleasure of welcoming and swearing our two new student trustees, Jaslyn Tendell and Harshit Sabadi. I did it right. No. Our student trustees bring such an important perspective to this board. They remind us that behind every policy, budget decision, and discussion, we have the students are what we are here to serve. So we're very pleased to welcome you both to the board and look forward to having your leadership and voices on the dais. So first I'll introduce Jaslyn Tendell. Jaslyn is a student at Berkeley City College studying business administration and economics with plans to transfer to a four-year university. She is already deeply engaged in student leadership, serving as AS, so the Associated Students of BCC, Berkeley City College Senator, and as president of both the Women in Business and the South Asian Student Association. Through those roles, Jaslyn has focused on student advocacy, community building, and helping students connect with opportunities and resources. As student trustee, she hopes to help create a more connected, inclusive, and supportive experience for students across all the Peralta colleges. Jaslyn, we're so pleased to welcome you to the board and look forward to your leadership and perspective. Board President, I'll turn over you to administer the oath of office.
Thank you, Chancellor. So you have a copy there, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to repeat. I'm going to read this and then you'll just repeat your part. I, and state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I, Jaslyn Tendell, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
That I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, trustee.
Thank you.
Excellent. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Harshit Sabadi. Harshit is also a full-time student at Berkeley City College and plans to transfer to a four-year university with interest in research and public service. He has been actively involved on campus through the Associated Students of Berkeley City College Judicial Council, student clubs, and BCC's MESA program. Harshit's own experience at community college has made him passionate about ensuring that more students know about and can access the opportunities available to them. As student trustee, he is particularly interested in reducing barriers to student participation and strengthening communication between students and the district. Harshit, we're delighted to welcome you to the board and look forward to your voice and perspective you will bring. Board President Quinlan, I'll turn it back to you for the oath of office.
Thank you, Chancellor. So you'll repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
I, Harshit Subedi, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Trustee.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
President Quinlan,
Yes.
I have a quick request. Can we move 10.3 from consent to action?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then I also need to move I believe it's 9 point. Move 9.1 to action also. Do we have a second for the motion?
Second. Second.
The trustee Napoli Reese made the motion and trustee Johannes seconded the motion. Call the roll.
Student trustee Subedi. Student trustee Tenda. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Johannes.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we are now going to consider approval of a commendation honoring trustee Bill Withrow. So we have a commendation up here. Everybody has a copy on the board, and we're going to take turns reading this. Everybody's name is indicated on the copy. So Chancellor, you're going to start us off?
So, Board President, thank you. Tonight we have the privilege of recognizing Trustee Edward Bill Withrow for a remarkable lifetime of public service and more than 2 decades of dedicated service to the Peralta Community College District. He has served this district with tremendous commitment, integrity, and care, and over more than 20 years on the board. So it's far more fitting that I'll begin. Each of us will read this portion of the resolution, and I'll get to start. So to Edward Bill Withrow for a lifetime of distinguished service, public service, and more than 2 decades of dedicated service to the Peralta Community College District. Whereas Edward Bill Withrow has devoted a lifetime to serving his country, his community, and the cause of educational opportunity, exemplifying the highest ideas of public service, integrity, leadership, and civic engagement. And
Whereas he honorably served the United States Navy for 24 years, retiring with the rank of captain in the Supply Corps, and throughout his life remained a steadfast advocate for veterans and their successful transition to higher education and civilian life. And
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Hold on just a second. Whereas following his distinguished military service, he continued his commitment to public service as both mayor and city council member for the city of Alameda, helping guide the community through significant periods of change and growth, including the transition of the Alameda Naval Air Station, while earning a reputation for principled leadership, fiscal stewardship, and thoughtful governance. And
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Whereas in 2004, he was first elected to the Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees to represent Area 1, and over more than 2 decades of service, provided steadfast leadership and unwavering support for the district's students, employees, colleges, and communities. And
Whereas during his tenure on the board, Trustee Withrow served in numerous leadership capacities, including board president and vice president, helping guide the district through periods of challenge, opportunity, and transformation while remaining firmly committed to student success, institutional integrity, and educational excellence. And
Whereas he earned the respect and admiration of colleagues, employees, students, and community members alike for his wisdom, integrity, analytical approach to governance, and a deep belief in transformative power of community colleges to improve lives and strengthen communities. And
Whereas his leadership extended beyond the Peralta Community College District through his service as trustee co-chair of the Community College League of California Veterans Caucus, where he championed policies and programs supporting student veterans throughout California's community college system. And
In recognition of his extraordinary contributions to public higher education, he received the Community College League of California's 2025 Fulfilling the Trust Award, one of the league's highest honors, recognizing a lifetime of distinguished leadership and service to California community colleges. And
Whereas his commitment to education and community service extended beyond elected office through his leadership as chair of the Board of Trustees of the Robert Lippert Foundation, supporting educational opportunities for Alameda students, and through numerous civic and charitable endeavors that strengthened the communities he served. And
whereas throughout his service to Peralta, Trustee Withrow was a familiar and welcome presence at commencements, campus celebrations, groundbreaking ceremonies, and countless college events, taking particular pride in recognizing student achievement and affirming the promise and potential of every learner. And
whereas the enduring impact of Trustee Withrow's service is reflected not only in the policies he helped shape and the institutions he helped strengthen, but also in the countless students, veterans, employees, and community members whose lives have been enriched by his leadership, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to public service.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yun.
now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Peralta Community College District hereby expresses its profound gratitude and appreciation for Trustee Edward Bill Withrow for his more than 2 decades of exemplary service to the district and for a lifetime devoted to public service, educational opportunity, and community leadership. And
be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees recognizes Trustee Withrow's enduring contributions to the Peralta Community College District, the City of Alameda, California's community colleges, and the advancement of educational opportunity for students and veterans throughout the state of California. And
It finally resolves that the Board of Trustees honors Trustee Edward Bill Withrow for a lifetime of distinguished public service and extends its deepest appreciation for the integrity, wisdom, compassion, and steadfast commitment he brought to every role he undertook in service to others. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move
so moved. Second.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Trustee Gonzalez-Yun.
So
So
moved.
Trustee Delphine Pope made the motion. Trustee Gonzalez-Yun seconded the motion. Call roll, please.
Student Trustee Subedi?
Here.
Student Trustee Tandell?
Here.
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yun?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bellarice?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Pope?
Yes.
Trustee Johannes?
Here.
Trustee
Yes.
Gonzalez Brito?
yes,
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 3.9, Consider approval of resolution number 26/27-222, declaring results and certifying proceedings of parcel tax election and appointing the Citizens Oversight Committee.
Thank you, Board President. Before we take action on this item, I just want to take a moment to recognize what these results represent. Public education measures require an extraordinary amount of work. I want to thank everyone who worked tirelessly to educate our community about Peralta, our colleges, our students, and the importance of the work we do every day. These efforts are an incredible amount of personal time. They took a lot of personal time, energy, and commitment, and I'm deeply grateful to everyone who contributed. And more importantly, I want to thank the voters of our community. More than 157,000 voters supported Measure A, approximately 87% of the votes cast on this measure. It's extraordinary. And I think it speaks to something larger than this measure. Our community understands the power of community colleges. They understand the power and greatness of the colleges in our district, and that our colleges create pathways to universities, careers, economic mobility, and opportunity for tens of thousands of students and families. At a time when public institutions are being asked to demonstrate their value, our community gave Peralta an extraordinary vote of confidence. We should be proud of that, and we should also recognize the responsibility that comes with it. To be good stewards of that trust and continuing delivering for our students and our communities. So to everyone who helped make this possible, and especially to the voters who continue to believe in Peralta, thank you. I'll turn over to you, Board President.
Item 3.10. Oh, okay. Sorry, are there any comments?
Thank you so much again to the voters for this. I could speak for most of if not all of my colleagues. We're just so appreciative of the support that our community has shown us. And we're ready for our next chapter. So thank you so much for being a part of it.
Any other comments? Can I get a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
So we reverse the order this time. Trustee Johannes made the motion. Trustee Delphine Polk made the second. Call the question.
Student trustee Subedi,
Abstain.
student trustee Tendell,
I abstain as well.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
3.11, Associated Student Government Reports. Do we have any reports? Thought we did that already. So can I take a motion to
Move approval.
Second.
motion was made by trustee Delphine Polk and the second by
Student trustee Subedi,
Abstain.
And sorry, I couldn't hear. What was the motion?
approval of the minutes. 3.10.
Oh, okay.
student trustee Tendell,
I abstain as well.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice, trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Now do we have any associated student government reports? Okay. Do we have a Peralta Classified Senate report?
No report this evening.
Okay. And I see Leslie, so I know we have a District Academic Senate report.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Chancellor, and college community. We've been hearing a lot of welcome back, and I should actually introduce who I am. I am Leslie Blakey. I am the District Academic Senate President. So we've been hearing a lot of welcome back, but actually it's really Happy New Year. As a lifelong member of the academic community, my new year always begins in August and not in January with the changing of the numbers. So often for New Year's, we make resolutions, but New Year's resolutions are more than just annual traditions. They're a reflection of our desire for self-improvement and personal growth, the changes we wish to see in ourselves and our lives. The beginning of a new year offers a symbolic fresh start for our goals and aspirations. So as Peralta begins to work on our implementation year of our transformation plan, we are making resolutions, the goals and aspirations for improving our students' educational journeys. Another part of being at a new year is reflecting on the old. And I think we need to pause and reflect on some of the exciting improvements and investments in our facilities and infrastructure that has happened around the district. College of Alameda had its grand opening of the Transportation Technology Center last fall, 2025. Merritt College Landscape Horticulture also had its grand opening last fall, 2025, and the Child Care Development Center building is in progress. BCC West is open this fall, 2026, with moves occurring over the summer to get the faculty, administration, and staff into that building. Laney has so many projects going right now, it's hard to keep track. The CUP, the Central Utility Project, is completed, which is completely boring but necessary work. It's like re-roofing your house. It's like not much to brag about, but so important to have done. Other projects include the locker room rehab and the theater project with move-in during next summer, 2027, the Library Learning Resource Center, and that will be also the gateway to Laney College, is making progress, beginning to be above ground with move-in in summer 2028. And the newest project is removal of the pool. A hard thing to see for those of us who remember it filled with our campus and city communities pre-COVID, but it too needed to be replaced as the constant leaking meant that no one could safely use it. Now that area is cleared and that area used for swing space as more change occurs on the Laney campus. So echoing just the board vote that just happened, I know the Peralta community is so grateful for the voters who have approved bonds over the years to support us, and I do hope they are pleased with all the building progress on the 4 campuses. Even though faculty were off contract this summer, work continued to progress in various areas, some in the transformation efforts and some in business as usual. In July, 14 folks from Peralta attended the Curriculum Institute held by ASCCC at the statewide level. Our curriculum specialists, BCC's Nancy Caton, COA's Ann Chun, Laney's Yolani Soderberg-Garvin, Merritt's Lily Blanche, and LaShawn Fitch, and the district's Doug Howley all attended, as did faculty from Laney, John Rieger and Ivy Tran, from Merritt, Neem Tai and Sarah Alturk, and Belinda Wallace. And representing district, we had CIPD Chair Heather Cisneros and myself, DAS President. And from administration, we had EVP Lisa Cook. Peralta was also represented in presentations with Nancy and Yolani presenting in different sessions, and I was part of a panel that presented on curriculum processes at multi-college districts. Last June, the Board of Trustees voted on the resolution to continue the transformation work, including the unification of Laney and Merritt into campuses of Oakland City College. Building something new takes courage because a builder knows they will be subject to criticisms, and then they work to build it anyway. It was 2 years ago that we had a new shared governance handbook voted on and approved by the Board of Trustees after years and years of having a draft revision. This new shared governance model with its restructured committees started in January 2025. Last year, in addition to the shared governance committees, we had 3 task forces that were created to work on the 6-point transformation plan, and we spent a year envisioning what the changes could be, culminating with recommendations that came through that process and ultimately was passed to this board. And now we will work on that implementation. I say we will work on it, but the truth is that much work has continued over the summer. My appreciation to the faculty who met and the administrators who facilitated the meetings during late May, June, and July to work on identifying and choosing one of course outline of records for all the duplicated courses at Laney and Merritt. This curriculum work is an important and time-sensitive linchpin to this transformation process. I particularly want to highlight Neem Tai, who took on a special assignment to meet with faculty and align the curriculum of shared courses between Laney and Merritt, and Heather Cisneros, who worked on streamlining program review for this year of transition, and really all the faculty who did work for the colleges while off contract. I also want to acknowledge all the hard work over the summer in preparation for our district and college flex days, welcoming faculty, staff, and administrators back to campuses in preparation for fall 2026. We had a great 2 days of information, panels, discussion sessions, and social time. That's always my favorite. The professional development officers are Staff Development Officer Marla Leach, BCC's Catherine Coel and Inga Langford, COA Leslie Ryman, Laney's Amy Bojorquez, and Merritt Teresa Williams. And they all did a huge amount of work for our district flex day on Thursday and our college days on Friday. As we begin to move into the implementation phase, I do hope that we can have the difficult conversations as a dialogue and not a discussion. And by that, I mean listening to hear and have empathy with viewpoints expressed and not just listening to martial arguments to persuade against. And we also want to think in our questions of leading with inquiry and not advocacy. So those are my academic New Year's resolutions. This Friday, the Constitutional Convention is going to happen. This is a joint Laney and Merritt Senate meeting held this Friday at the Best Center. Both Laney Senate President Eleni Gastis and Merritt Senate President Dan Lawson have published agendas on board docs today and have sent out notices to the faculty. Also, save the date invites were sent out last May by me to all of the Laney and Merritt senators so that they could get this important meeting on their calendar in this busy first week of classes. After the convention, the developing OCC Senate Constitution will move to both of the Senates for further discussion and votes for ratification. Once the new Constitution is approved, then more work will be done on the shared governance committees that are subcommittees of the Senate, as well as the needed changes to the District Academic Senate Constitution. So that's a lot of meetings, which is why we're starting this Friday. Change is hard and fear is easy. Fear-mongering is an easy trap to fall into. I encourage folks to bring forward concerns with the implementation, help us to brainstorm new ideas and problem solve the stumbling blocks. Personally, last year I represented Peralta on the ASCCC CTE Leadership Committee statewide, and this year I am pleased to be appointed to the ASCCC Leadership and Advocacy Committee. They might not have wanted me there. I don't know. They might not know what they're in for. Anyway, as we have seen in recent news reports, for example, Politico published just this week an article titled "Degrees of Difference, the Fight Over Diplomas Roiling California's Colleges." And when you read that, you can see there is much to do on our advocacy level. So I hope to really be able to participate and contribute. I am looking forward to this opportunity working externally, as well as working with my fellow Senate presidents within Peralta this year, BCC Fatima Shah, College of Alameda Jennifer Fowler, Laney Eleni Gastis, and Merritt Stan Lawson. In ending, I also want to mention the loss of Dolly Parton today, an inspiration to so many, a woman who believed in music and dreams to transform hard realities. In addition to her many, many musical talents, over 30 years ago, she started Imagination Library by gifting free books to inspire children with a love of reading, a program that has grown from her home county to her state, throughout the U.S., to internationally. And I looked it up today, and the statistic I found was 1 out of every 6 children under the age of 5 in the U.S. receive Imagination Library books. Through her vision and lots of people working together, her efforts to increase the success of completion of school in her county, and then ultimately everywhere her Imagination Library has grown and has had spectacular results. She saw a problem she wanted to solve, envisioned a possible solution, and invested effort into that solution. Such a wonderful model for us at Peralta to emulate in our own transformation. So happy academic New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, President Blakey. Item 314, we will now move to public comments. Please remember this portion of public comment is only for items that are not on the agenda. If you have a comment on a public hearing, please wait for that item to be called and make your comment. Sasha, do we have any public comment tonight?
Yes, Board President, we do. We're going to start off with Jeff Sinceri and then followed by Tiny Garcia. And please remember, you have 3 minutes for public comment.
Good evening, trustees. Chancellor, and assorted administrators, and folks like me here among the public. I'll start by saying welcome back, and I hope everyone had a relaxing summer that allowed them to recharge for this coming year, because there's going to be a lot going on and a lot for us to contend with. The district transformation's in full swing, of course, and it seems that we're moving at a fairly quick pace to get things situated successfully. I've been involved in this process since the beginning, and as have a fair number of my colleagues, and despite all of the emails, notices, workshops, Senate meetings, task force meetings, PFT meetings, and one-on-one conversations with countless colleagues, we still have some friends who either misunderstand or misinterpret some of the changes that are being implemented district-wide. But one thing I will agree with is that this is moving fast, maybe a little too fast, it seems. Now, I understand why. We're taking a really big swing in order to balance the budget, stay solvent. I mean, I don't know how many people remember, I think it was 2 years ago, but the prevailing option on the table was to close an entire campus. We moved forward with the transformation plan as a way to avoid that. It wasn't everyone's first choice necessarily, and for some it still isn't, but it went through a process, one that took time. But the problem I'm speaking to right now, and that more and more faculty are encountering, is not necessarily objections to change in principle, but rather that the consultation and input from constituency groups such as our faculty can seem a little hollow now. Granted, in my view, that's not how it started, but, well, for instance, I wasn't involved in the discipline breakouts, the pathway lead idea at Flex Day, but I know that there was a fair number of faculty who left their meeting at least as confused as when they walked in. They were being asked for input, sure, but only minutes after the plan was put in their hands. The only thing I might be happy about is that if we know that the district and campus administrators are allowing for at least the rest of the year for faculty to discuss, to fine tune, and if necessary, change this plan into something that's both workable for faculty and solves the scheduling issue that's been hurting our district since forever. I acknowledge that time is not on our side, but I worry about what we'll end up with if structural and policy changes occur without more quality time set aside for constituency input in the already existing spaces for it and beyond. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tiny Garcia, here representing houseless people, specifically also Poor Magazine and Homefulness, which is a homeless people solution to homelessness. It's happening right now in occupied Ochu, Oakland. 25 houseless youth, adults, and elders are permanently housed in rent-free forever housing. You should learn about it. But I'm here actually for the relatives who are currently houseless, who are staying in the lot. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you to Laney for not moving in the violent ways that this society demands to continue to erase poor and houseless people like we're trash. I also want to say that when I was on the street with my son, being able to go to a community college saved my life. It's really interesting that Nikki is on the board. I don't know if they're there, but they published a piece of mine when I was houseless with my mom as a child. There are children staying at the lot. That's not by choice. That's because they have nowhere else to go. That's because day after day, there are 5 to 10 sweeps happening across Oakland. And we as poor people have nowhere to go. I am one of the frontline folks who support the lot. They are beautiful relatives. They are beautiful mamas and papas and babies. So this is a life-threatening emergency. If you move these folks, we need to build, not destroy. Poor Magazine is working with the families and the relatives there to create a self-governing structure, to create what we call rules of respect, this elephant circle process that we do at Homefulness, so that we can promote and perpetuate self-governing and love and respect among the relatives who are there. Just because we're poor, it doesn't mean we're not human. I want to thank everybody on here for operating in a different way. And I want to say, please, please do not listen to the violence of Caltrans and the police and
politricksters and recognize that you have a chance to do something different, which is what Laney is about. Operate a different way, walk a different way, walk into liberation. These families, these folks, these elders have nowhere to go. And you all
20 seconds.
are that space of liberation. So please work with us. And really, at the end of the day, our lives are in your hands. So let's live a different way and into love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Afileo. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. Followed by Spencer.
That's good. Ifalayo. I was unhoused on Wood Street for 10 years and now am one of the residents at Poor Magazine Homefulness. And I want to say that I am where I am today because of the support of community organizations that stood next to me, that met me where I was at, and that let me lead the charge. I also want to thank you for not removing the folks that are at the lot. We have been both witness to this and survivors of the violence and trauma that comes with being forcibly swept from our homes and communities. We have also stood alongside people after they were displaced, watching them be moved from one place to another, separated from their support systems, and in some cases placed in isolation. Together, this community of organizations, and my colleague John has a letter that we wrote with multiple organizations, which I also want to say we just sent it out last week. So every day we have more organizations signing on. We're doing a coordinated effort to really support the folks here because we are aware that the city applied for funding to sweep this lot. And so we're trying to do as much as we can before that actually happens. What we do know about that funding is that it's only to house a certain type of person, which families don't qualify for that type of housing. And so whatever type of support we can give them, we're trying to create a different path for folks through trusted relationships, peer support, housing navigation, and presenting opportunities for folks to move towards stability without being traumatized in the process. And I just want to again say thank you. And, to echo what Tiny was saying, like do something different. And we are working with the folks down there to secure the land and to really do something different. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Spencer.
Good evening, members of the board. My name's Spencer Carson. I'm a resident of the parking lot over here. I'm a resident over here at the parking lot where the swap meet happens every Sunday. I'm also one of our lot community leaders. I'm currently a student up at Merritt College, and I'm a full-time single father. Recently, we received a copy of an email giving the quite quotes on what it would cost to improve the lot, secure it, and why it would not be going through as well. Personally, I understand, 265,000 plus is a whole lot of money to spend on people that you don't personally know. I myself probably wouldn't spend that much money. I know I wouldn't even if I had. That's not the point I'm up here to make, though. One moment. So everyone on the lot is just like all of you and everyone out here, man. And I don't mean to say that we're all human. Some of us, for whatever reasons, have come across hard times, and we're trying to put things back together. The bottom line is, look, I'm not asking for a handout. I'm not asking for clothes or food or even to be able to stay any indefinite lengths of time. We're going to have to leave probably sooner rather than later, and that's fine. It's time to move on. We'd like a little bit of I guess you could say, peace of mind. Maybe we could start by telling local law enforcement that they just can't come in anytime they want. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to prove any illicit activities, but they come through and they literally harass us in ways that you guys look. They shine the lights way after bedtime. They blame the sirens. They'll stop people. That it's little terrorist activities that really, especially for our children, make it uncomfortable. I'm not saying they can't come in, if they see something illegal or follow criminal in. By all means, most of us there are law-abiding citizens. Most of us have at least part-time jobs looking for full-time employment. What I'm saying is maybe just make it a little more easier, along with the lost my train of thought. Along with the
20 seconds.
Well, before I go any further, thank you for letting us stay there for the time that you have. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kelsey, followed by Sarah.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I was going to cede my time to Sarah, if that's allowed.
I wasn't prepared to come up next. 1 second, please. Okay. Good evening, Chairman Nelson and members of the board. My name is Sarah Kelly, and I'm speaking on behalf of the families living in the RVs in the student overflow parking lot of Laney Merritt College. We've been parked in this lot for over a year now, while experiencing homelessness here in Oakland. We are grateful for your willingness, this board, and you, Chairman Nelson, have shown in working with us so far. I want to speak directly to something important. This location matters deeply for our families with children. There are no other RV sanctuaries or safe parking in the area that accepts families or kids. Most of the programs simply aren't set up for children. If we lose this spot, our families don't have another safe place to go together. Staying here also means the community stays together. The parents, the kids, and the neighbors who look out for one another. The stability matters, especially for the babies who I've already dealt with. Excuse me. Dealt with more disruption than any child should have to. I also want to be upfront with you about some of the recent incidents because I know they've raised concerns. 2 of the RVs burnt down, 1 through sabotage, 1 was intentional. And there was also police activity involving 1 resident that had nothing to do with the rest of us in the lot. I want you to know that individuals in the burnt RVs are no longer part of the group and are no longer here. And the situation involving police activity is currently being addressed. There were not actions taken by our community as a whole. And we understand that they were alarming, and we are committed to working with you and the campus safety to make sure this doesn't happen again. What we are asking for tonight is simple: continued permission to stay in this lot as a family community. The chance to work with you on the safety measures and accountability steps you think are needed, and some assurance, written or otherwise, that gives our families stability. We keep working towards permanent housing. Excuse me. We are not asking you to ignore what happened. We're asking for the chance to be a part of the solution and not to be displaced because of the actions of a few people who are no longer part of the community. Displacing us would just put our families back on the streets. It would break apart a community that has held each other up through a very hard time, especially the kids. Thank you for your time and consideration of our requests.
Thank you.
Next, we have Miss Rita, followed by Lindsay.
Hi, my name is Rita. This morning I was told that I had to leave. I had 3 days notice. I have nowhere to go. I have a tiny structure that's on wheels. It's like a wooden house. I'm by myself. I'm ADA. I'm handicapped. I have no help and nowhere to go, and I don't know what to do. And I asked, do they have any place for me to go? They said they had no resources for me, so I don't know what to do. That's it.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here tonight not just as someone living in an encampment, but as a human being, a neighbor, and a member of this community. When people hear the word homeless, it can be easy to imagine a label instead of a person. But behind that word are real people. There are mothers and fathers, there are children, there are grandparents, workers, people who are trying to get back on their feet, and people who have been pushed into circumstances they never expected or wanted. The people living in this encampment are families. We have children who deserve to feel safe, valued, and seen. Those children did not choose their circumstances, and many of the adults here didn't choose them either. For many of us, homelessness wasn't a lifestyle choice. It was a series of circumstances and choices made around us or for us by rising housing costs, lost jobs, unaffordable rent, family emergencies, illness, domestic situations, or simply not having enough resources when something went wrong. One unexpected setback can be enough to lose a home. And once someone becomes homeless, getting back into housing can be incredibly difficult. We are not asking anyone to ignore the challenges that an encampment can create. We understand that the city has responsibilities to the entire community. We understand that there are concerns about sanitation, safety, public spaces, and quality of life. But what we are asking you to remember that addressing those problems should never require us to stop seeing each other as human beings. We deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, just like anyone sitting in this room. Our children deserve that dignity too. Please don't look at us and only see tents and RVs. Look at the people inside of them. Look at the parents trying to protect their children. Look at the people trying to find work. Look at the people who are doing everything they can to survive and find a way forward. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for humane treatment. If the city needs to address an encampment, then please do it with solutions, not simply displacement. If people are asked to leave, where are they supposed to go? What happens to the families? What happens to the children? What happens to the person who has nowhere else to sleep that night? Moving people from one place to another without providing a realistic path to housing does not solve homelessness. It only moves the problem and often makes life even harder for the people already struggling.
20 seconds.
We need meaningful solutions, affordable housing, shelter that actually accommodates families, access to bathrooms and sanitation, mental health and social services where needed, assistance finding employment, and real pathways for homeless into stable housing. More importantly, we need to be part of the conversation. Ask us what we need, listen to our experiences. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Krista, followed by Haley.
I was just exceeding my time to Lindsay, but here's
Good
Haley.
evening, board members. My name is Haley and I'm 11 years old. I'm here today because I want to talk about the people who are staying at our lot and homeless in our community. I know that not all homeless people are the same. They are people just like everyone else. Some people may have lost their homes because of money problems, family problems, or other things to them. I don't think we should treat anyone badly because they don't have a home. But I also think our community needs to find a safe and fair solution for everyone. The solution at our lot has affected our neighborhood, and it had been scary for or uncomfortable for families and kids. We want to feel safe, and we also want people saying they're treated with respect and have somewhere safe to go. I may only be 11 years old, but I believe we can care about people and still care about safety in our community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next, we have Peter Brown, followed by Madeline.
Good evening. It's really nice to be here with you and to see so many faces I've worked with and some that I've met more recently. My name is Peter Brown. I'm a retired faculty from Laney College, machine technology. I taught there for 12 years, retired in 2018. I had the pleasure of working with and under the guidance of Louis Quinlan as he led the rebuilding of the machine technology program. I also want to acknowledge the hard work that Greg Nelson put in and the Chancellor's office in working with the lot residents and Wood Street Commons. I'm really proud to be organizing with these people. It would be easy to assume that one does this simply out of passion or sympathy, but Louis and I often found ourselves thought of as shop teachers, but we had the equivalent of a doctoral degree in manufacturing technology. My research for the past 25 years has been in the field of technology, its effects on the economy, and its effects on society, real people. It was in our classroom that a student who we discovered was homeless while studying with us set up a survey where we discovered that 10% of our Laney students were homeless. That was in 2015. The next year, the Associated Students took that from us. We gave it to them. They improved it and showed that it was 15%. So what I really want to say is that the struggles that our district is going through, and I really appreciate Trustee Rice's comments on the valiant efforts of all of you to find a way that's beyond just looking right in front of our noses at the problems right in front of us. And there is a continuity between what Peralta is going through, what public education is going through, and these people. They're not only our past, present, and future students, but it's the same process. Unhoused people in the United States are the leading edge of the impoverishment of the American working class, which is ongoing and rapid. Okay, so I'm about to run out of time. The only other thing I want to add is what Peralta is going through is the same process we're all going through. My research can be of service to you. What we all need is to understand
20
what's
seconds.
coming at us, what we're facing, and what it will take to get through this and really not just save, but build public education, build a public world. And so I want to be of service. I will be sending you some materials from my research. I'm co-author on some articles that I think may be useful, and I'll share those with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Madeline Stacy. I've attended Berkeley City College, College of Alameda, Laney College, and possibly in the future, my wife and I might attend the Uptown campus that's new to Merritt College for advanced degrees. I'm here to uplift and support the voices and the needs of my neighbors, our neighbors, who reside at the lot on 11 4th Street. I've had honestly the privilege of being allowed into their community and getting to know them for the past many, many months. There were several other residents there who had planned on coming to speak, but got a little too nervous to come. And while I cannot speak for them, I can say that the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, it's greatly appreciated the consideration that you've given to them and their continued residency at the lot. As the residents have spoken themselves, the stability that being able to stay at the lot without having the constant threat and stress of a potential sweep is just paramount to almost anything. It's a great, well, it is a great thing that they don't have that constant threat. And now that the city has applied for these grants, that is kind of a looming, unclear threat in the distance. But with everything else that's stacked against them, just to have that little bit of peace in terms of the stability of where they live, especially since there's so many families, is really, really, really invaluable. So thank you for your consideration and that you've given and your continued consideration of them. And like I said, I just really want to echo what they said and just ask for your continued thoughtfulness when it comes to any decisions around handling any situation that arises or any decisions that need to be made regarding the lot and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have John and then Mitra.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John. I actually was unhoused for over 8 years on Wood Street in West Oakland. I'm sure a lot of you guys heard about that encampment over there. I have a letter that we drew up of support of all the different organizations at this moment that support that community and that supported my community when I was out there. I wanted to backtrack really quick to the $260,000 that we're talking about supporting this community. It doesn't have to be $260. I want us to wipe that off of our slate and think about the small things that we can do to come over and support this community while they're there. I think we all know that they can only stay there for, a period of time and they're going to have to go somewhere else. And I think we all know that lingering over our heads. And I think the question or what we should think about is what can we do while they're there to help them create a more humane living environment, a safer living environment that doesn't cost $260,000. There are small things that we can do with just maybe putting a fence up in the front for so they can have a little bit more control of the people that are coming and going on that lot. It's really hard to control, random people that come over there and utilize a homeless encampment to, engage in illegal activities. I feel like if people have time, that they should come out to this community and talk to them and get to know them a little bit better. I also would ask if you guys could advocate to the city of Oakland, because they have dumpsters that they could bring out there so that people don't have to throw their trash just on the street, because that just causes more problems. I know the BART has a station there, some sort of substation, and they complain about the trash out there. And just those little things, those little gestures to show people that we do care about you. We are looking at you like you are human beings, goes a long way. I hope that last communication that we had that through email, there was a last sentence saying, and this will be our last communication. I'm hoping that we can reopen that line of communication and start working on things that we can do, that don't cost a lot of money, that could help them get ready for the change that's coming from, and just small things. We have this college out here that has, I know, a great culinary program that I was in, maybe providing a few meals for the people at the lot, trash bags, brooms. I don't know. We gotta be creative, but I think it really starts now. We don't have to wait until the displacement happened.
20 seconds.
I just want to pass this around. This is a letter for the trustees, just a letter you guys can look at. It's not large, and it just has some of the organizations that support this community out here and have supported me. It goes a long way. It does. It really goes. And I appreciate you guys having us here and allowing us to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mitra. I'm a resident of downtown Oakland. I echo everything that the residents have said, and I'm also very impressed and proud of them for speaking up in what is usually a very scary public comment. The people who spoke are my neighbors, and I've been getting to know them for almost a year with DSA's monthly barbecues that we have there. We share hot dogs, cook hot dogs together. And like every Oakland resident, they are deserving of dignified, safe, and stable housing. Having that worry of what day will be their last day there, the stress of an eviction, or that my housing will be will become unstable because of a lack of communication, that is just point and blank violent and traumatizing for the families, the workers, the students that live there. And I believe that everyone there should have clear communication for what can be a very unstable time in their lives, to provide transparency and communication, to keep residents safe from the police and Caltrans that continue to terrorize houseless communities in Oakland, but specifically in the lot. That is crucial, along with having open dialogue, working with the residents and really listening to them, not just the state or just listening to the consultant or the nonprofit worker, but actually listening to the residents that reside on the Peralta lot. By actually listening and having these conversations, getting creative, and not allowing the violence of a sweep or the recent Supreme Court cases or the state laws take effect will really allow this community to flourish and become even more part of our community, as it can feel like they feel safe and belonged in Oakland. So I hope you listen to my neighbors. I hope you listen to us. And I thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Last public comment of the evening is Bear.
Hi, thanks for having us. I just want to touch on a couple things that kind of already been said, but we're people. I mean, not bad people, just people that kind of end up there. I've lost 2 businesses in the last 5 years. I've lost 2 boats. I've lost 2 houses. And I was really bummed. You know what I mean? That's what I got right now. I mean, that's it. Without that, I don't know. There's people that are there that they might go back to a life of crime. They might go back and do something hurtful or hurt somebody else. It's really easy solutions though. It's really easy solutions. There's a lot of things that we can do that aren't expensive to solidify and secure that property. I don't know, and just think about it. I mean, think about it. What you'd feel like if you woke up one day and everything you'd ever known in love was gone. Because it's a very real thing that happens. It happens all the time during every sweep. Because the people who do the sweeps, they're not empathic or sympathetic. They're not at all. They just come in and they bulldoze. You mean? It's a very violent process. Just keep that in mind. We're all people. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all the public comment for tonight.
Thank you, Sasha. Item 315, the Chancellor's report.
So first of all, Board of Trustees and community, I really appreciate you coming out tonight and sharing your comments, and want to let you know I'm aware of the situation, and we'll certainly give the board a briefing and make sure that we're in communication. So thank you again. First, I do want to say I'm excited to start the fall 2026 semester and feel the renewed energy back on campuses. We had a wonderful district-wide and college flex days. Go to the slide. My message this year was carrying the light, and focused on gratitude, our shared purpose, and the opportunity we have to build what comes next together. There was great energy throughout the day, including faculty-led conversations about collaboration, our pathway work, and how we can continue building stronger colleges and better systems for students. And I certainly know that we'll be having lots of opportunity for feedback this year as we redesign and build together. Special thanks to Marla Leach, our staff development officer, the team in educational services, all the presenters, and Merritt College's facilities team for their support. I also want to extend my gratitude because the college flex days on Friday were incredible. And so thanks to all of the college presidents and the college professional development committees and chairs for their work on those days. I'm excited to introduce our new Office of Ombuds, which provides a confidential to help employees navigate concerns, resolve conflicts, and identify a path forward. We've been working on this for over a year, and Koha Wu is leading the new office. And if you haven't seen Koya's welcome video yet, I encourage you to check it out and learn more about the office and him directly. I next want to thank Congresswoman Latifah Simon for securing federal funding to support Peralta's Fab Labs at the College of Alameda and Laney. This investment will help us provide more students with hands-on learning in technology, design, and advanced manufacturing and other emerging fields while strengthening pathways from education into careers. We were pleased to welcome Congresswoman Simon to Peralta this summer in July to see the work firsthand and talk to the faculty and students about what this investment will make possible. We are deeply grateful for her continued advocacy and support for Peralta and our students, and go alum. I also want to thank the UC Regents for inviting me to speak as part of their reflection on our nation's 250th anniversary and the University of California's contributions to our country. I spoke about the promise of opportunity and what UC gave me, first helping me imagine myself in college and ultimately changing the trajectory of my life. I shared that the promise of opportunity was never meant to end with us. It is ours to extend. That, to me, is stewardship. Taking what has been entrusted to us, strengthening it, and passing it on to those who come next. You'll hear more about this tonight, but I do want to celebrate our strong credit ratings and the successful Measure G bond sale. These results reflect years of work by this board and our community to strengthen Peralta's fiscal foundation and allow us to make significant investments in our colleges while being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And you can see that improved AAA rating from Fitch and an AA stable from S&P Global, which you'll hear more about tonight. I also want to celebrate the Laney College students who created the beautiful Unity Through Diversity mural at our district office this summer. Under Professor Fred Alvarado's leadership, the students brought together the history, identities, and mascots of all 4 Peralta colleges around a theme they chose themselves. KQED just published a wonderful story about the project, and I encourage you to check it out. Most importantly, congratulations to our students for creating something that will be part of Peralta for years. I also had a wonderful opportunity to spend time with our Associated Students of Merritt College student leaders at Merritt the other day, alongside President Johnson and many in our community. We have some outstanding student leaders across Peralta, and I'm excited to work with them and our 2 new student trustees throughout this year. I want to recognize College of Alameda professor Danny Nguyen, who was recently featured by the BBC in a wonderful interview tracing his remarkable journey from growing up in war-torn Saigon to escaping Vietnam as a young man to building a life and career in dance and the performing arts. Danny shares how dance became a source of freedom, expression, and healing, and how his experiences continue to shape his commitment to giving back. I encourage you to listen to his extraordinary story and learn more about one of the amazing faculty members we have here at Peralta. Similarly, I also want to recognize Laney College Ethnic Studies professor Roger Viet Chung, who is featured in the new Apex Express series, My Family. Professor Chung does an extraordinary work both through restoring our communities at Laney College, about to hit its 10-year anniversary, and teaching inside San Quentin and the Alameda County Juvenile Justice Center, helping justice-involved students see education and college as a pathway forward. I encourage you to listen to his powerful conversation, How Did We Get Here?, on KPFA's Apex Express. And please join us for the grand opening of BCC West. This beautiful new facility was made possible through our community support of Peralta's bond program. So I want to once again thank our voters for investing in our students and our colleges. We are excited to open the doors this term. Thank you to President Richardson and the team stewarding this district, and also our facilities team. And really, we're excited. So please save the date and come on out and welcome this new space with us together. There really is a lot happening at Peralta, and as we begin a new academic year, I'm excited about the momentum across our colleges and grateful to everyone doing the work every day on behalf of our students. And finally, as we recognized earlier tonight, we extend our tremendous gratitude to Trustee Bill Withrow for far more than 2 decades of service to Peralta and a lifetime of service to his community. He was such a good partner. Pictures that reminded me of our trips around to the Veterans Center, learning more and always advocating. So that concludes my report, President Quinlan.
Thank you. Item 4.1, first reading of board policies.
Board President, this is the first reading of our new board policy, and it's here for you all, and it'll come back at next meeting for adoption by the board. And the next item is also the administrative procedure. We have gone through governance throughout the district and have been approved by the Planning and Budget Committee and are here for your recommendation and review.
So do you need a motion?
No, these are just information items right now, sir.
Okay, thank you.
President Quinlan, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
So I was reading the policy and I'm reading and one, I want to commend us for having it. So, thank you and to the shared governance groups that have reviewed this, et cetera. And as I was reading the kind of the prelude, the introduction to it, it seems to reference property and our facilities, et cetera, but it doesn't really reference the people that the security services might be providing service for. And I was wondering whether this was a technical legal thing that we were doing that for, and whether I don't want to, I don't want to make this go entirely through the entire process again without having a policy in place. So if there's something that needs to happen in terms of editing, I don't want it to slow our process down, but I do want to ask why that was and whether, if in fact, there is a way of kind of revisiting the introduction to the policy.
Thank you for the question, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. I'm really proud of the district for working on this board policy and administrative procedure. It's been a long time in the making, getting through our governance process. Do want to thank Board Vice President Paulina Gonzalez Brito for helping spearhead and working with this. We also work with SEIU after our board discussions, and so grateful to their leadership. For giving us feedback on it. It is around contracting, but I will certainly take a look at your comment and come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.1.
Sorry, President Quinlan, I just have my hand up. I know it's hard to keep track of us online. So I appreciate, and excuse me for just jumping in. I just wanted to say, Chancellor, that I think this is tremendous. I'm really excited that that this is coming to the board. And thank you for your leadership and for the shared governance participation for bringing this to us. I don't think that the issue that Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen is raising is, I don't think that it's an issue that needs, sorry, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. I don't think it changes the intent of the board policy. It starts talking about workers in line 2. And it talks about our interest in ensuring high continuity and quality among workers employed by the district. And it talks about the interest of the district in ensuring that that this contract, this agreement, this contracting requirements are in place. And that's the basis for these types of the whole first paragraph lays out the basis for putting these types of agreements in place or policies in place. So I think it's important that it stay that way. And I don't know what others would say in terms of. I'm sure I know that you ran this through a legal process. But I think Natasha helped to make sure that that was all well crafted. And so I think this looks great. I'm so glad that you got feedback from our labor union partners. And I think this is good. This is a really good thing, not only for our employees, but for the community of Oakland and the East Bay who may one day work here. So thank you.
Thank you.
President Quinlan, if I can clarify my remarks, please.
Sure.
So again, I really want to thank you and Vice President Gonzalez Brito for the initiative. And the labor components of this are critical. And as I say, I don't want to stop the process. So if we need to, move forward with the process. But as we look at the language, it talks about district interests. So we have a proprietary interest in owned and operated properties. And then it goes on to say that, we want to secure the properties, guarding and controlling buildings, parking lots, grounds, managing access to property, all of which is, of course, critical. And then there are the security interests in providing services, security, safety for the people who go to school, work at, visit the district. And that's what I was raising. And it may be that this is a very specific legal thing that I don't understand, and it's like, yeah, this is language that must be used because it deals with contracting. I'm not sure. So that's why I'm asking to revisit it, not to slow it down, but it just as I was reading it, was like, yeah, of course we've got an interest in protecting buildings, yeah, and so forth. But I think you get my point. And again, I really don't want to slow it down. I don't want it to have to go entirely through the entire process before we have a policy in place. And I think it could just read in a more kind of humane way. So that's it. I just wanted to clarify my concerns here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is illegal, just from my experience in the labor unions. It is illegal. It has to legally be written this way. So, and that is our interest, and that's the reason the district would put such a policy in place, because of these interests. So I'll let the Chancellor Natasha look at that, but the interest that we have is the interest laid out there and why we would put this policy in place. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Finished? Okay. Let's see. So on item 5.1, approval of all consent items, Trustee Polk has pulled item 10.3, and I have pulled item 9.1. Can we now get a motion to approve the remaining consent items?
Second.
The motion is made by Trustee Reese, and the second was made by Trustee Johannes. Call the question, please.
Student Trustee Sabati?
Yes.
Student Trustee Tendell?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Johannes?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 11.1, we have a public hearing, presentation approval of Peralta Community College District. Need to call the hearing to order.
Thank you, Board President. Before I turn over to CEO Nelson, I want to provide just a little context for tonight's adopted budget. This budget is an important part of the larger transformation work underway across Peralta. It reflects both where we are today and the work we are doing to build stronger, more sustainable colleges for the future. You heard tonight about our current fiscal situation, the investments we are making, and the projections that are informing our planning over the next several years. I think that the context is particularly important as we continue making decisions about how we organize ourselves, invest our resources, and best serve students. I want to thank CEO Nelson, the entire finance team. I also want to thank the PBC Budget Subcommittee for meeting over the summer to review the changes from the tentative budget presentation you had in June to the adopted budget and providing their feedback. With that, I'll turn over to CEO Nelson to walk us through the fiscal year 26-27 adopted budget.
All right. Thank you, Chancellor, and good evening to the Board of Trustees. We'll get started. The adopted budget presentation, and we're going to kind of walk through the timeline of what took place over the last 8 months, if you will. So in December of 2025, the district received initial projections, I should say, from the state being the state chancellor's office related to this student center funding formula. And the Transformation Task Force also received the same update. As you come through March, the Planning and Budget Committee of the district through shared governance approves the budget assumptions that we send in from the district finance team. Then as you come forward in April, the budget is presented from the colleges, from each one of the 4 colleges, and also round 1 of the task force recommendations were made of the work that had happened over the previous inside that academic year. In May, round 2 of the task force recommendations, we had 2 rounds because there was so much to do. And then the district made their presentation for the district service center related to the budget. In June, the board, and much appreciated, approved the tentative budget in June of this year. And then in July, we received the changes to the budget relative to the governor's incorporation of changes in the budget trailer bill, reflective of the new changes to the hold harmless floor, which we'll go into in just a minute. And so we received new projections based on the SCIF, or the Student Center Funding Formula, from the state based on our enrollment changes year over year, and also based on the changes that were done in the SCIF forecast. In August, early August, the Planning and Budget Council looked at the revised adopted budget draft in its current form, which is what you're seeing tonight. And then hopefully tonight, the board will approve our budget for this current fiscal year that we just started. So as we get into that, I wanted to pause for a second and kind of give the board and the general public a presentation on where we're coming at from a district resource allocation evolution. So to give some context, the district traditionally had a district discretion on how state apportionment was done. So as you remember, the state appropriates funds to the district, and then the district allocates those funds out accordingly. Then we went to the resource allocation model, which was not ever fully implemented. Then later on, the district embarked on a budget allocation model that was never fully implemented. And then when I arrived, I found from early 2000s to 25-26, we used an FTEF, or full-time equivalent faculty number, which is really based on the old formula from the early 2000s. In 25-26, we brought the district forward to recommend allocation based on FTES, or full-time equivalent students, which is what the SCIF formula is based on. And then so this past year, we started having a conversation around a student program allocation model, or SPAM, based on trying to provide an equitable allocation. And we're going to walk through that in just a moment, related to how we allocate money going forward. So the SPAM is really integral as it's not just about finances, it's really about student access, providing student needs, equity and access, alignment throughout the district, really resource stewardship. And it's really our centered model of how we ensure resources are aligned with student needs and strategic priorities. So it's a really complex way to handle our finances, but it's also going to be very sustainable long-term as we roll this plan out. So to kind of show you the phases of SPAM, so in 26-27, we kind of did the building blocks. We did the base allocation for the first time. So in this fiscal year we just started, we did the base allocation plus FTS, so kind of a hybrid model, if you will. Next fiscal year in 27-28, we will do the first round of the first phase of funding formula beyond the base around cluster funding. And then we'll roll that out through 2930 for full implementation. And of course, if something shall change in there or something happens legislatively, et cetera, we can always adopt a change in this calendar. But that is currently the plan, is through 2930. We will have a fully incorporated. And some people have asked me why 3 years. And part of that reason is so the colleges can incorporate the changes relative to any potential funding gains or losses as it relates to their funding for their programs of study. And that way it can be incorporated and they can plan accordingly over a 2 to 3 year period about what that looks like. The SPAN phase 1 was the base allocation, as I just mentioned. So the small college allocation was $4.1 million. This relates to 30 positions. We're actually going to add one more that we had just misplaced. But nonetheless, we did 30 positions for a small college. These 30 positions represent management, classified staff. One thing you won't see on here is faculty. Faculty are driven by the clusters of the programs and how they're funded. The remaining allocation for this year was based on FTS. So we did the base plus your percentage of FTS up to the hold harmless level of 15,524. And we added in the new tenure track faculty positions of 12 positions overall. We also included funding for approximately 100 sections of courses per college using historical vacancy savings across the district to provide funding for those that event. So the tentative budget, this is what you saw in June, and right near where your hand is, Sasha, you see CCC, CCCO, SCIF projections, that line, if you don't mind highlighting that for me. So this is the tentative budget. And then tentative budget, one thing we looked at in the tentative budget was the SCIF presentation that the Chancellor's Office gave to the district as it relates to the SCIF projections for the transformation plan. Part of that was we were slated to come out of hold harmless in 27-28. However, we're going to show you why that change happened. But as of the tentative budget, this was still true. We were supposed to come out of hold harmless based on our increases in enrollment. And based on that increase in enrollment, we should have come out based on those projections. We had risen 3 straight fiscal years in enrollment. So they were projecting us based on that increase in enrollment. So keep that in mind as we come forward, as we make the subsequent changes. So some of the changes in the state budget that you should be aware of. So number one, we had a mandatory pregnancy leave. This is a piece of legislation that came through. So it's 14 weeks of paid leave for any employee after January 1st, 2027. And it's in addition to other leaves already available to employees. Pregnancy leave has been on the books for a while, but it's not a paid leave. It's a Job Protection Act called CFRA or CFRA, California Family Rights Act. And so that 1.44% was added to the base funding of the district, which adds about $2.2 million to the base funding of the district, and sometimes referred to as the funding floor. And number two, we updated the SCIF. So the SCIF updates, and this has been a little confusing for folks, and we're going to go through it in more detail after I talk about this, but this is a 3-year rolling average is what historically has been the SCIF funding formula. Now it's or, so it's the 3-year rolling average or the highest of the 3 years, whichever is higher. And that is what's going to affect the enrollment changes more drastically. That does create some volatility in the funding formula to a degree. And enrollment changes affect it more quickly. So for instance, if you get a bump in enrollment, you don't have to wait 3 years for that bump in enrollment to kick in. You actually can take advantage of it the next year. Vice versa, if you have an enrollment decline, you wind up going into stabilization funding or hold harmless a lot quicker as well. The next is the changes to the categorical funding. We received 2.87% for COLA for various categorical programs, as you can see there. The one that we received a little higher of a COLA for was a Student Equity and Achievement Grant, or sometimes referred to as SEA. It's 5.74%. And the reason why that for a big change is we had not seen a COLA on SEA funds in a number of years. So it was kind of a catch up, if you will. And then lastly, the allocation of physical plant and instructional support, or sometimes referred to PPIS. I know we love our acronyms. The first allocation since 2023. So this $1.3 million will be used for deferred maintenance and hazardous material abatement around floor tiles, et cetera, and ceiling tiles. Okay. So to kind of explain the SCIF, as I just mentioned, I want to walk through. We're going to talk about the total column in reference to this change. So traditionally, the SCIF has been based, as the first paragraph says, based on 3 fiscal years to determine the funding for this fiscal year. So 23-24, 25-25, and 25-26 determine the funding for 26-27. It's been that way for the last few years. Now, since the 3-year rolling average is less than the district's highest year in 24-25, so in blue, you'll see 14,357. That was our highest of the 3 years. And then you'll see 13,897, which is the average of the 3 years. So they're projecting us based on the 14,357, since that's the highest of the 2 numbers. So that's how they're calculating this. This is not a decision the district gets to make. This is a decision that's automatically calculated in the SCIF calculator online for the state chancellor's office. However, we're still below the hold harmless floor. So as you can see at 13,897, we're still well below the 15,524 we need to come out of hold harmless. The reason I brought that up earlier is because when you look at the change and what the chancellor's office gave us in the tentative budget to now, you'll see we have 3 years of increases in enrollment. If you go back to 22-23, 23-24, 24-25, and then this past year, our enrollment actually went down. We went down 546 FTS in total. So the state chancellor's office, instead of projecting us coming out of hold harmless, they projected our enrollment to be flat instead of increasing. And that's why the hold harmless has been pushed out. So when you look at the history of our enrollment, as I just mentioned, you see the changes in our enrollment. And really, since, as we all know, COVID enrollment declined. But since 21-22, our enrollment has steadily picked up every year. However, we saw a decline this past year. So it really emphasizes the need for really more coordinated approach in scheduling and enrollment management. That's why we have the Student Success and Enrollment Management Committee as part of shared governance. It's to reduce the competition amongst the colleges, as we've talked about previously. It's to improve the completion rates by our students throughout the various programs and pathways they're in. Strengthen the enrollment through coordinated data-informed enrollment management. Reduce fiscal volatility, as I mentioned earlier. And the goal is simply not just put more classes on the schedule. You got to put the schedule classes in the right places at the right time where students need them. And so it's really important for us to keep this coordinated enrollment management focus as we go forward so we can improve the enrollment that we have for the district. So it's important that we have a transitional runway for four college funding protection through 2930. So I want to touch on this. This has an impact this is a lot of work with our partners at the Chancellor's Office. So we started this conversation in early spring. So this is really a quick summation of all those conversations. So in 27-28, or next fiscal year, the 4 college funding will continue. The reason why it continues is because the SCIF looks our year in arrears, not a year ahead. So time is coming with us. So we already knew we had an additional year of 4 college funding. Then the state is going to give us 2 additional fiscal years of funding protections to maintain the 4 college funding through 29-30. This 3-year transition window gives us stability as a district as we transition to a 3 college model. In addition, the categorical funding also has funding protections, and the college-based categorical allocations will continue on a 4 college basis through 29-30. In essence, they will continue to get their base funding for each one of their programs. They will also continue to get their current formula of funding for each one of the programs through 29-30. So that will not change as it currently is. The carryover flexibility was a huge one for the district. The district can retain the approximately $4.7 million in categorical carryover through this transition period. Some of those funds are already in their 2nd and 3rd year, so the ability to be able to carry those funds even further is a big improvement and something the Chancellor's Office does not do on a regular basis. And then beginning in 30-31, the funding protection sunsets. The enrollment and headcount for categoricals is combined and base allocations are readjusted, but also the 3 college model, one campus will be adjusted to be grandfathered into center status. And so we will have 3 colleges and 1 center. Essentially, this gives us a lot more runway for us to make the transition, but it's not 3 years to postpone the decision we've set forth. So this is the adopted budget projections as with the things that leading up to what I just presented. And so that includes the state chancellor's office projections. So this does project out the 3 college funding model based on the new SCIF projections after the budget was passed by the governor. And so the grandfather center status is in 3031. That year will come up next year. It's one more year out off our page, if you will. And you'll see right now at the bottom of the yellow tab, you'll see net increase, decrease of $1.8 million. That is our current surplus for 26-27. What's important about these numbers is we put these out there to be hyper transparent, but any adjustments related to bargaining or any one-time costs that come up that we have not planned for, we'll adjust these numbers long-term and make the projections change. In what way, I don't know without knowing what the negotiated rates will be, but just to let the board know that those numbers will be reflective based on bargaining. Go ahead. So we need to proactively manage the transition, continue the prune to grow strategy that the chancellor has set forth while managing cost. We need to plan now for that $7.5 million reduction that's really showing for 28-29. As I've said before, those out year projections are softer than the current year projections. And I've said this multiple times over the years, last 2 years. I guess you could say years now. That the out year is kind of 50% baked. We come to 75%, closer to 85%. We're really certain for this year. To preserve the fiscal flexibility so that hold harmless, I want to be clear that 1.4% we receive for the pregnancy leave and the funding floor is not a COLA. I want to be clear, it is not a COLA. It is classified as a change in fiscal position to help cover the cost of the change in labor code as it relates to pregnancy leave for expecting mothers. And then we need to keep updating our financial assumptions. So as we talked about in December 25 and then coming forward, things do change. And I've mentioned before, based on legislative mandates and other things that come up, we will continue to do multi-year planning and to make sure we have a good forecast on the horizon so we can plan accordingly. So one of the things I want to show is the reserve. So the green line here, and this slide's going to build upon itself, so it'll change. So just to give you a forewarning. So the green line here represents the board policy as it's currently adopted in APBP 6251 that was adopted to February 25. So this board reserve policy, as you can see, goes up 0.5 point per year. And in 29-30, it goes to 10%. Okay. Then when you come forward, the board reserve policy is in green. The estimated fund balance is the blue line. If we take the fiscal reduction of $7.5 million, we stay on par with the reserve policy. However, in a 3 college model, if we don't address the $7.5 million later down the road in 28-29, you see what happens to the reserve. It drops to 5.85%, which is around the threshold the state requires you to have, which is 5% in the education code. If you were to adjust and stay at a 4 college district, your reserve would drop below that for 27-28, and it would drop precipitously lower than what we currently have projected for a 4 college model. And the primary reason is right now in the adopted budget, we're reflecting the change of the duplicate administration between the 2 colleges. Then you would have to put that money back into the budget and reflect the cost of living and the health insurance increases for those employees. So by making this adjustment, we wanted to show the difference between a 3 college model and a 4 college model. And it is financially more troublesome to stay at a 4 college model long-term, hence why we're doing the transformation work. So that number in dollars, just so you see what it looks like in dollars, is if we were to do nothing and stay at a 4 college district for 29-30, we'd be looking at a $17.3 million reduction overall. So you can see what the changes. So the previous slide is in percentages. This slide is in dollar value. That's all this is reflecting. So I've shown you this table before in a little bit, but I want to kind of show you this kind of the focus window in the center. So remember we said 25-26, we were trying to keep a 2-year window of 25-26, 26-27 of no budget reductions. And so what we have created because of the SCIF and the way the SCIF formula works, we've additionally created a 3rd year, which is 27-28 of no reductions. And then you can see based on the factors from the state, the 28-29 budget is 0. And then we'll see the $7.5 million coming out in the future. And you'll see the impact it has long-term. The couple of things that I want you to point out at the bottom is you'll see the SCIF 3-year lag, the years that affect that current fiscal year. Now with a new change in the SCIF, you'll see that year has changed. So now in this year, we're at 24-25. If 24-25 maintains our highest year of enrollment, it will also carry over for 27-28. However, 24-25 cannot carry over to 28-29 because it's outside the 3-year window. So we do not yet know. The reason why it says TBD is that we have a great year this year. 26-27 will override the 24-25 fiscal year. And with that, board president, I'll yield for questions.
Questions? Go ahead, Trustee Reese.
Thank you for that presentation. I just want to connect the dots to make sure I understand this. So the maternity leave 1.44 is included in the funding budget, right?
That's correct.
Not separated, but included, and in the base funding. And in one of the budgets that you showed us afterwards, there was a surplus of 1.8, and you made it explicit that that is not COLA. Is that the, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sasha, go to the adopted budget page. I'm sorry, trustee. Go down. Yeah. Keep going. It's the next big spreadsheet that's in there. This one. Oh, back up.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
That 1.8 is the maternity leave?
It is reflective of the change in funding floor with the maternity leave, yes.
Okay. And that's really important because, as you had said, we have to make sure that we don't understand that, or the district does not understand that as being COLA, and therefore it must specifically be allocated for the maternity leave.
Well, not
all of it.
Yeah.
But.
So I would just offer, we don't have to necessarily carve it out for maternity leave. It's important. It's a funding requirement for the district. So basically the state said, here's the funding for this new labor law change. You determine how you want to spend it. If you want to spend it on that, or you want to spend it on other things, either way, your liability is still there for pregnancy leave. So how you want to manage that expense, that's up to you. Here's the cash. And one thing, I appreciate you bringing this up. The one thing I would note is that cash is not available till January 1st of 2027. And what we call P1, the P1 apportionment, because the law doesn't take effect till January, so they're not allocating the resources till mid-year.
Okay. Thank you. That's really, really important. And then the second question I have is, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, are there any community colleges that actually were scheduled to go off of hold harmless, but were able to go off hold harmless?
I actually don't know the question. I would have to, we've been so focused on ours, I haven't looked at what I do know. As of July 1, there's still 11 districts on hold harmless,
right?
And some have come on and some have gone off. And so, but there's 11 districts currently.
And I guess the implication or undergirding that question for me is, does it put districts for the most part in a more difficult position because they can't get COLA unless they actually reach that floor, right?
Yeah. So I go both ways. So you have districts, and I have a colleague who's at State Center. They had a lot of enrollment increases. They had unfunded FTES because they had so much growth over this period of time. And a lot of it was due to population shifts, et cetera. So they were screaming that they have all this growth and no funding because of the 3-year lag. So this is an answer to that, but it's also the counter argument to that, where you can have a great year enrollment and the next year you fall off. Well, that year helps you, but if you keep falling off, eventually you can land back in hold harmless if you're not careful. So while it helps the districts who had unfunded FTS, it has a counter impact for the colleges because what happens now is your highest year or your 3-year average, which one is higher? So if you can't sustain your enrollment over time, and you wind up having a lot of declines, it will catch up to you eventually. And that's where the volatility comes from.
Okay. Thank you.
So how many students did we lose last year?
Little over 500 FTES.
So I just want to note, I was doing some research on it, going to the BI tool and looking at graduations and certificates. And despite the fact of losing 500 students, we had a 14.5% increase in our degrees and certificates, which I think that means our colleges were doing a really good job with the students that were here.
Yeah.
Sorry, any other questions?
President Quinlan.
Yes.
So thank you for this presentation. Greg. It's really helpful. And I want to do two things. One is give you and the chancellor just say thank you for the work you did on the categorical funding to secure it through 2029 and 30, and then the carryover, the flexibility and to be able to retain that. We heard a lot of community members of Peralta raise this issue with a lot of concern. And I think you heard them and you took it, and you did remarkable in trying and addressing their concerns. We are not, we're not able to, secure it forever. That's not how it will work, but I think this is really, it gives us a lot of runway to try to figure things out and more time to do that. So I just want to congratulate you on that and thank you for taking that and moving mountains to do this. The other piece I just wanted to ask about was so the enrollment had gone up. You showed us the chart. The enrollment had gone up for some time after I don't know if it was like 2022 or it had gone down during COVID, started to go back up year over year. And then it went down this year. And you mentioned that it will help to decrease the competition amongst colleges, but that competition has been going on for a while. And so I wonder if it fully explains the drop in enrollment this year, or something else was going on or is going on. I can't remember when, Chancellor, but I asked about the drop in international students, given the political environment, and if there's something else that we can point to that might explain that drop, and I guess my question is like whether we really can predict flat enrollment going forward. So yeah, just wondering about that.
Yeah, I apologize. I haven't had a chance to dig into the enrollment data per se, but I can say that sorry, Chancellor. Okay. I was just going to say, I am optimistic around hiring 12 new tenure track faculty members in 10 different disciplines this year. I'm optimistic about about 400 sections we're adding to the schedule for this fiscal year that was not there last fiscal year. So I am optimistic that those things will help with enrollment, and we'll try to do more when we can. But I'll turn it over to the Chancellor where it relates to the data on and the enrollment statistics.
Yes, thank you so much for the question, Vice President Gonzalez Brito. I mean, I think what we've seen, we did dig in a little bit to that enrollment report. I know I provided a copy of that and can certainly provide the updated copy. But our district course enrollment went down about 1.3%, right? So offering different classes, we're always trying to figure that out. Our net course enrollments declined by 1,547 students, and 11% of those courses online, with an uptick though, a decrease in fully online, but we wanted to have more in-person courses, right? So we really are trying to find that balance as we're doing things. And we had an uptick in offering our career education programs. And we did see that our largest numerical decrease was at Laney, down about 3.4%, with growth at Merritt and Berkeley, right? So I think at some point what it is the different type of course offerings and the things that we're doing. So we certainly, as the college presidents and their communities, have been looking at what that means. So how we offer our CCAP agreements, how we're coordinating those classes. That's one of our transformation efforts, is to do better about that, work with our partners more seamlessly to find out what we're doing. So we have done, and I'm really grateful to our district research team for looking at this data so we can examine it more closely to see how that is happening and what those demographic drivers are. The largest decrease was ages 30 to 39, right? So the work we're doing on really trying to do the own online weekend and night college is one of these things that's going to address hopefully working adults and their ability to get the classes that they need. So I really see that the data is connected to really the work that's been laid out in the transformation plan in a lot of ways, and trying to get us to work together on strategies that really do help us, not have the competition. And I do think that that what we do see is that if we're organized around these things, we can be more thoughtful. I really sincerely believe that in terms of providing pathways for students to completion. So we're competing for the same students still, right? We're still doing these things. There are legitimate questions about when and where we're offering things and making sure we're not saturating certain areas. And so the willingness of our faculty and administrative teams and our classified professionals to go deeper in this, I think it's a really important next step in the redesign for the district. And I think I just want to address this other thing, which is, I think that the conversation about just what's the difference between, this funding really does give this opportunity. And I want to just underscore what CEO Nelson said, just my tremendous gratitude to the state chancellor's office for their incredible work working with us, like having all of their people together with our team. I want to thank VC Vasconcelos too for being in those meetings to make sure that we really understand what it is. So the question I really am asking our district community, and I know the board is asking, is what structure gives us the greatest ability to build stronger colleges and provide the courses, programs, and services for our students in the right places at the right times, the way they need it. And so I think the data will it helps inform us even deeper. And unfortunately, we've had years of enrollment decline. We had an uptick last year with a change in the way we report courses too. So we have had some decline that we do need to think about as we build stronger colleges.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yep.
We can't see you, Nikki, so.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Am I not on?
You weren't.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It's really helpful. I also really am glad that we moved our calendar, our board calendar, to be more in alignment so that we could actually, do this consideration earlier. And I think it's part of a better alignment with shared governance participation in the budgeting process. So I really want to commend the administration for and shared governance teams for making that work. It's a real difference, and it's a real different tone. My question has to do with enrollment. And I appreciated your response, Chancellor, about thinking about what our opportunities are. I'm wondering, in addition, whether as a district we are considering the implications of the new Medi-Cal requirements for either employment or education. It seems to me there are something like 500,000 Medi-Cal recipients in the county, and somewhere over 100,000 of them are not going to make, be able to do the employment component, but they potentially could qualify for Medi-Cal through being students. And I'm wondering, one, whether we're paying attention to that. If we are, whether we're, cooperating or coordinating with the county to identify people who could really benefit from a community college education and enrolling in our courses. And then if we're doing that, whether we're thinking about the particular services that particular population might need. But it seems to me that there's a potentially a very large pool of Peralta students who would benefit immediately because of being able to qualify for Medi-Cal starting in January, when they would otherwise get kicked off. And that it would be really fulfilling a need in our community. This is something that President Quinlan is often talking about. We've got these gaps in our community that we're not quite identifying and serving. Anyway, I'm just wondering whether our team is thinking about that, and if so, how that figures into what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much for the question. Trustee Gonzalez UN. So Alameda County estimates about 87,900 individuals may be affected by the new Medi-Cal work requirements and another 23,000 by CalFresh. So I do want to let you know, I wrote to the board in June, being really, I've been participating in working sessions with representatives from county social services, workforce development, and education agencies on the new HR1 work requirements for Medi-Cal and CalFresh. And I want to thank Shamila Johnson as well, who is over our Adult Ed Consortium. Her and I have both been playing a leadership role in the work with the county. We're actually reaching out right now to the colleges to actually have presentations and work together with each of the colleges so that we can find out more and about how we have to intersect in sort of what's going to happen. Alameda County is one of 7 pilot counties selected by the state to develop approaches that may eventually be scaled statewide. And so we really, to your really good point, it's increasingly clear that the colleges and community colleges in particular are going to be really important in helping individuals access and maintain their benefits. So it is certainly a priority and something we're working on, and appreciate VC Vasconcelos. Her and I had a recent conversation about this, about supporting the effort and reaching out to the colleges to start that work. So we are engaged. And I hope to give you more
reassuring to know that this team is always 2 steps ahead. Thank you.
Go ahead, Trustee.
Yes, thank you so much for this. This has been really helpful, CO Nelson. The question I have is around the new faculty being added. Can you tell us what areas of study they're coming from?
I will start, and I will forget one, I'm sure.
It's okay.
So
I'm just curious.
You have 2 in land horticulture at Merritt College. You have 2 in rad tech, or not rad tech, sorry, rad science. You have architecture at Laney. You have culinary at Laney. Help me out. Psychology. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. We had counseling at BCC, and there's one other one I can't remember, and then anthropology at COA, and the apparel design program at COA, and Dr. Richardson outside of general counseling. What was the other faculty position you received for this year? Which stands for Human Services. Thank you. I can't hear you.
This. I want to offer that you notice the sort of wide range, and this is really an investment in career education, and where we've really seen the need to grow, and we haven't had the opportunity to really invest in these programs that have room for growth. And so that's really another exciting part. And I want to thank the presidents, because, again, it is, we're working jointly to figure out where the best place is to place everything. And so we know the colleges have much more need for full-time faculty. We'll continue through our SPAM and our budget allocation process. I want to highlight already that our DAS president spent the summer. We'll be working on this as our governance group around program review and resource allocation, and how faculty prioritization falls into that. So we really can be, what used to happen is we'd hire saturate all the same faculty across the colleges because it wasn't a joint endeavor. So really excited to see what happens in flourishing in supporting the development and growth of these CE programs with full-time faculty.
That's great. And we can expect to see hopefully more investments in the future. So
as we have funding, we'll do our best.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So I had a question concerning dual enrollment, CCAP enrollment. I saw both designations in there, and I couldn't figure out the difference. And is there a funding difference between the two?
So CCAP is those straight agreements that we have with high schools in our service area where you have MOUs, they come to you all. And so those just have particular courses and a way in which we do it. Dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment is oftentimes when a student just comes and elects on their own to come. So they're not in a class that's identified, that's being offered for a particular population on a campus. But no, they're not looked at differently funding wise.
So dual enrollment, when we say dual enrollment, we're really talking about concurrent enrollment where the students are coming to the college.
Yes.
Okay. And was there
the opposite. The opposite, I'm sorry. Dual enrollment is when students are in a selected course with a CCAP agreement. Concurrent enrollment is when a student just elects on their own to come. Sorry, my brain. It's like, what is it? This is the longest board meeting we had in a while. No, just so, and we still have a presentation to go, but so that's the difference, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
And I want to say again, that's one of the areas in our transformation work that is a real, remember you all, we had recommendations that we're going to begin implementing. Again, this doesn't all happen overnight. It will happen over the next several years, but how do we really think about those students who are coming for concurrent enrollment and we've been planned for them? How do we look at the data and what's happening? How do we look at those students who are coming back from the four-year colleges and universities to take what we're considering reverse concurrent enrollment with us? And then how do we actually streamline and really consider pathways for our dual enrollment students and those relationships we have at the colleges and our local school districts? So there are a lot of good recommendations about things we can do to improve in those areas. And thank you to my team.
So, do we have any more questions? Okay. Call the hearing to a close, and can I get a motion to approve the budget?
Second.
So that motion was made by trustee Napoli Reese, and the second was made by trustee Delphine Polk. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Sabati?
Yes.
Student trustee Tendell?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bella Reese? Trustee Delphine Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Johannes?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we're on item. So we'll take the first two items that we pulled, 10.3 and 9.1.
No, sir. We're on our next item, which is a 12.1 district facilities presentation. And
okay, thank you.
so our next presentation brings together several important pieces of our facilities work across the district, from projects currently underway and our facilities master planning process to updates on how we are improving transparency and access to information about the Measure G bond program. It's going to be a short presentation, but you'll also hear a recap. And I'm just going to spend some time saying it because I want to thank CEO Nelson. But you also hear a recap of last week's $480 million bond sale. That was a tremendous effort by our finance team, our external finance team, our financial, legal, and underwriting partners. As we shared earlier with you in June, when we came to you, we initially projected approximately $37 million in taxpayer savings. Through our improved credit ratings, strong market conditions, and excellent timing by this incredible team that we have together, we ultimately achieved approximately $57 million in savings for taxpayers over the life of the bonds. That is an absolutely extraordinary result, and it's something I think we should be very proud of. So I want to thank CEO Nelson for the work. So tonight's presentation will also include bond list revisions 3 and 4, which are now standard practice of what we're doing to make sure that we are ensuring project scopes, budget savings, and available resources are all back to the board to remain transparent. So I want to thank the team and turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Chancellor. So go ahead, next slide, please. One more. All right. So we just wanted to kind of give you some updates around the district. So these are the 5 kind of buckets, if you will, in design, pre-construction, construction, and what we've recently completed. As you can see, we're moving really fast on some of these projects. Now that we got some things going simultaneously, as has been mentioned, Laney has a lot going on at this present time. They have 4 active construction projects on campus right now. And then we have one that's about to start here in a couple of weeks. The Merritt ADA and Site Improvements project will start, is scheduled to start the 15th of September. And then right after that, we will be starting the ADA and site improvement work at COA. So we're looking forward to getting those out the door because they're desperately needed at both campuses. And so we appreciate the board's support on getting these projects moving, and also for the campus governance committees and for the administrations helping us spearhead these along. So to kind of show you what's happening in August of 26, this is kind of an aerial shot on the top right of the Library and Learning Resource Center. we're doing what we call soil mixing piles. That's why you see that big crane's been out there. There's north of 100 piles in the ground to help support the building once it starts construction. But we're in the Laney locker room rehabilitation currently, the LRC, the theater rehab. If you go to Laney, the whole front of the theater is missing. And the student center improvement projects, I went by that yesterday with President Absada, and that's well underway. We have the district demolition of the pool, and then we also have the Merritt Child Development Center that's under construction. And I want to back up to the pool for just a second. This image, and a lot of it's changed since this image was taken. The company that's working for us that the board is set to ratify tonight has been working 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days a week to try to not impact students as much as possible. But as it relates to the pool itself, the pool is in a dire state of disrepair, and there was nothing the district could do to bring it to code. I mean, so the district did a study in 2023, and the costs related in that study did not even attempt to account for all the costs related to the pool improvements, but the report was around $3 million at that time. That number has definitely grown since then. Also, the pool had a leak underneath a pool that was leaking under the adjacent facilities. So it was time for us to drain the pool. We drained the pool last fall, and it has sat empty for some time. And then we were able to get it done this summer. So that project should be wrapping up here in the next week or so, a couple weeks actually. This is just I'm going to do some quick shots of the projects we have going on. This is the Library and Learning Resource Center I just mentioned. So you can look at it when you have time. This is the theater renovation project that's well underway. As you know, this is pushing out the front lobby of the building, and along with many other improvements throughout the facility. And so they're making great progress there as well. The student modernization and renovation project, that one's currently under. We're a tad bit behind on this project, but we're slated to go through the fall with construction continuing. And we're going to, President Absada and her staff and faculty are working with us to move around the construction based on the timelines that are impacted for different programs. So we appreciate that support. We have locker room renovation. I'm still trying to figure out how they got a big tractor in the basement of the locker room. I digress. But nonetheless, they're making quick progress in the locker room. And so we should be moving, as was mentioned earlier, in the summer of 27. So I know it's quick and fast. I want to give you the facilities master plan update and just kind of where we are in a timeline. As you've heard, we've been working through this. So this slide just really shows you where we are at to date and what we have done up to this point. So we've done listening sessions, we've done an external scan, we've done internal scans, we've met with the board. Now we're starting the planning and communication for what we're going to be doing for this semester. Next slide, please. So now we'll be working on town halls, which are scheduled. So I appreciate the presidents for helping us schedule those meetings at the campuses. Those are slated for the month of September. Then we'll be doing engagement and follow-up with the governance groups throughout the rest of the fall semester. And hopefully the goal is to bring the board a first read of the facilities master plan in January to get comments and feedback. And then right after that, hopefully bring back a final copy of the facilities master plan for us to move forward. Okay, so I want to kind of give you a quick update. We've rebuilt the Build Peralta website. Go ahead. So there's a hyperlink in your presentation. If you want to look at it, don't click on it, please. But this is the rebuild of the website. It's mobile friendly now. It actually talks about all the projects. It's got a new, cleaner look to it. So I really appreciate the support of AECOM and VS3 who are here with us tonight for all their work on this to get this up and running, and also the stuff I'm about to talk about because it's really been a major lift. So go ahead to the next one. So something that we have been working on, they have been working on, I should say, is we have lots of different platforms, as you probably know. Kahua is the platform we use for change orders and RFIs, et cetera, for construction companies. BMAT is our bond management executive tool that we use for finance compliance for the bond. P6 is a scheduling software that's used. Elation is what we use for our SLBE, our small local business enterprise platform is what we use. Then we use Fusion through the Foundation of Community Colleges, and then that Fusion is fed by the ONUMA system. So what we try to do is we try to bring all that together, and we've done executive dashboards that we can use that bring all that together. So I notice you can't see this in real time. I apologize, but basically we have screen grabs where we can look in real-time data at program overview and see where we are. You can look at the schedule for all the projects. You can see the construction manager performance and how they're operating. We can look at state funding and local match dollars. We can look at SLBE percentages and how they're affected across the district, and also how that feeds the PLA. And we can also look at vendor statistics as well. Go back one slide, sorry. And then there are other slides as well, but what this does is it gives the executive staff a really good snapshot for us to be able to answer questions without us looking for data in multiple platforms. It puts it all in one quick snapshot. It is password protected, et cetera, because it is live feed from these other platforms. And so I just want to give the board, we have made tremendous progress in the bond program, so we can make sure we can answer questions and answer the questions of the board and the community much faster and more timely, effective manner. So bond list revisions 3 and 4. So as the chancellor mentioned, go ahead. Bond list revision 3 is the overhead allocation. So last year was the first year the board took this under. This is a reminder that the revision is just to spread the overhead costs. So it's advertising, legal, program management, construction management, financial management, compliance review, advertisements, newspapers, and on and on. So we spread that across all the active projects throughout the bond. We do this annually so we can tie out for our annual audit that we do with CWDL. And so bond list revision number 3 is the overhead spread, overhead allocation, excuse me. And then bond list revision 4 is based on bond list revision 3 being completed. And then that shows the changes in scope revisions. We usually do these twice a year. I usually do one in the fall, or beginning of fall, and I'll do one at the beginning of spring semester. And at this BLR, what you're seeing is a major sweep of the savings from a design build effort at Millvia Street at Berkeley City College. We're pulling back about $3 million in savings on that project. We still have a little bit of savings left in that project, so we can finish it out. And then we also have a little over $2 million we're pulling back from the transportation and technology building at COA. So that you're seeing that money come back. And we're also recognizing the Q3 of last fiscal year's interest from the county. We won't get Q4 till probably October. So once that comes in, we'll recognize that in the spring. So the Q3 interest was about $4 million on our bonds that are sitting in the county treasury. So on the bond sales, the chancellor kind of took my thunder on the bond sale update. Go ahead. So we did 200. She's much more enthusiastic than I am. So in Series D1, we had $200 million in a tax exempt format, which is what the district has traditionally done in the past. However, this sale, we sold the remainder of the bond program. So we sold $280 million in taxable. The biggest difference between the two is tax exempt. It has a 3-year window that you have to spend the money in. A taxable program in the Series D2 does not have the time requirement. So it is unlimited in time. So you can sit on those funds because you're paying the tax up front. And the reason why we did this is because the ratings were so good at that point in time. There's only about a 5 basis points difference between taxable and tax exempt. And also, too, the savings of not doing 3 more bond sales, the closing costs for all the consultants, attorneys, et cetera. We washed about neutral by doing it all now versus and getting taxable, and you earn more interest on taxable as well. This was all supported by the board's support and the reserve policy, which really helped us get our AA stable outlook with S&P, and then our redefined AAA outlook with Fitch. And it's the first AAA the board has seen in the history of the district. And so having those two, yes, very much so. By having those two, the interest rate was great. So go to the next slide. So we oversubscribed the first bond by 2.1 times. What does that mean? I'll just give it to you briefly. We do different tranches, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and so forth. We go out to I think we went out to 2055. So we have multiple companies buying for the same bonds. What that happens is, and we do the same thing for the tax exempt bonds, we oversubscribe almost 6.5 times. So by doing so, what it allows us to do is help take the companies and squeeze the interest rate even tighter. So we were able to squeeze 6 to 15 basis points out of those companies, which our initial interest rate, as the chancellor mentioned, was 5.59% in June, which was our estimate. Our final interest rate came in at 5.34%, which is a $37 million in net change from board presentation to board presentation. Between both series, we had over 90 investors. The last bond sale, we had 26. So the ratings made a big difference. We had some very large outfits that are in the bond market that invested in the district this time around. And it was very nice to see those like State Farms, Travelers, some of those big companies come in. Final closing, we'll have money in the bank on September 9th. So one thing, go to the next slide, please. One thing I just mentioned real quick is, I know this is, for those of you who don't do finance on a regular basis, it kind of looks weird, but this is where the $57 million comes from. By timing the market for the day we did on August 19th, the very next day, the interest rate went up 4.6%. So just the net savings from one day was another $20 million of savings for the life of the bond, for this bond series. So we couldn't have done it without the support of Kegent, Piper Sandler, Oric, and our rest of our underwriting team. It was a very early 4 a.m. day that day to wake up for the stock market on the East Coast. But nonetheless, it was a very productive day, and special thanks to the folks listed below. So it was a very productive day. It happened in about 30 minutes. Last time we sold the bond, it took the entire 4-hour order period. This time we sold out in 30 minutes. So, and then we used the rest of the time to basically squeeze the investors against each other to make the interest as tight as possible. So that's the conclusion of my presentation. I'll pause for questions.
This is going to be a very maybe novice question. Why did it make a difference?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Why did August 20 make a difference?
So August 20th, the 10-year Treasury yields came out. Also, there's 5 things that nothing came out on Wednesday, so there's nothing hitting the market. Thursday, we had the citrus report. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it's the commodity market for produce hit the market. The Treasury market yields came out for the 10-year basis on the Treasury yields, which they made them go up. So that makes our percentage go up as well because we're based off the muni market. And in addition to that, the unemployment rate came out for the country. That also affected the bottom line for Treasury yields. And also, too, a couple of countries called their bonds for the U.S. government. So that affected the overall Treasury yields as well for the country. So it was good to get in and get out while the timing was good. So it's not always that way. We just happen to hit the market at the right point in time. So that's why it's important for us to have a financial advisor and an underwriter that way we can subscribe the day we want to sell and not do what they call a competitive bid. So it's much to the credit of our team that helped us get there.
Any other questions? Thank you for that amazing report. Can I take you with me if I need to go to the bank for a loan?
Second.
So the motion was made by Trustee Napoli-Reese, and the second was made by
Subedi.
me. Question?
Student Trustee Subedi?
Yes.
Student Trustee Tendell?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Johannes?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Brito?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we're ready to do the ones we pulled? Or are we doing the?
We'll now go to item 10.3, consider approval of management personnel items. Trustee Delphine Polk, do you want to?
Sure. So yes, I have a family relationship with one of the individuals included. And so out of an abundance of caution and transparency, I'll be recusing myself from discussion and vote.
So can a motion?
Move to approve.
So the motion was made by Trustee Johannes, and the second was made by Trustee Reese. Call the question.
Student Trustee Subedi?
Yes.
Student Trustee Tendell?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Reese? Yes. Trustee Johannes?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Brito?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So on item 9.3, I have a conflict of interest, and 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, and 12.5 also.
So thank you, Board President. So it's actually 9.1. So we'll first start with 9.1. Consider adoption of resolution number 2627-219, authorizing the purchase of Microsoft software license renewals pursuant to a Foundation for California Community College buys contract in the amount not to exceed $424,492.20. Can I get a motion to approve?
Could we move all these items at once?
I mean, you can move. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So I have a motion by Trustee Gonzalez Yuen to bundle 9.1 and bundle together item 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, and 12.5, which are ratification of payment warrant reports for May and June and purchase order reports for May and June. Can we amend the motion? So the motion was amended by Cindy Napoli by Reese, and Trustee Johannes was the second. Any questions? We'll call the question.
Student Trustee Subedi.
Yes.
Student Trustee Tandell.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuen.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice. Trustee Delphine Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Johannes.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
To announcements and reports. Board members? Pardon? Announcements, yeah. Board reports.
If I may, really quickly, I just want to once again thank Paul Withrow for his service to our district. It's been a long time trustee, and he was the first person to text me when I got elected. So I always was very grateful for him. I just want to thank him and his family for the service to our district and to our students and staff and faculty. And so wishing him well.
I'd like to echo that statement as well, of course. And also he would always invite me to veteran events and things of that nature. So I do appreciate him in general, of course, the same, wishing him well and his family as well. And then just the second announcement, as you know, I'm on the board for Building Opportunity for Self-Sufficiency, also called BOSS. This Saturday, they have their annual Black August at Frank Ogawa from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be vendors, entertainment, information, resources, and usually there's free food. I don't want to promise. They didn't specify, but most likely for the past few years, it's been free. So come on down. You can get your resources and have a great Saturday afternoon.
What time is that?
11 to 2.
I just one of our items this meeting, we had a chance to review a lot of things, and I'm just so impressed with the leadership in the district and our shared governance bodies and the job they're doing in making this district financially fit and creating a district that can be students will know where they're going, how they're getting there. They'll be able to plan. And I think it's really going to improve the ability to get through. I mentioned earlier that despite losing, a large number of students last year, we had a 14% increase in graduations and certificates. And Trustee Reese and I were talking last meeting about the graduations last year seemed to be particularly joyous for some reason. There was something about last year, and hopefully we're going to experience the same increases this year. Future looks bright. Love your future.
President Quinlan, is there anybody else in the room that needs to go, or can I make an announcement?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to also let Trustee Withrow know that I was thinking about him and to wish him well and thank him for his many, many years of service to this district, but also to the community of Alameda. Just to wish him well and thank his family for their support of him as he did this service. The other thing I wanted to do was to thank the community who spoke today, that as of right now are neighbors on the lot. And it's really, yeah, that, just reminding us of the dignity that people fight for every day when they are houseless, and how they can be treated when they're, in their most vulnerable state. And I want to, it sounded like to me that the Chancellor and CO Nelson have treated them that way. And so I wanted to thank them for recognizing their humanity. It sounds like perhaps the city of Oakland and the police and Caltrans, they may be worried about actions from the city and those agencies. And I wondered if there was a way, we talked about in our trustee goals about engaging with the community and, engaging with their elected officials. And I wanted to volunteer Chancellor to maybe help with some of those conversations. I think this is really important. I think they know they can't stay there indefinitely. But I think there's maybe some ways that we can help ensure that they are treated with dignity and respect and given some support. It's really kind of appalling that, people with children and elders who are disabled may be left with nowhere to go. It just means they move somewhere else and maybe less safe, yeah. So, Chancellor, if we could talk about that, that would be, I would appreciate that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to second the comments about the graduation. I was there last year, and from the student perspective, like it's so amazing to see all my upperclassmen graduating, and also I really enjoyed the speeches. I think those were really motivating, and yeah, graduation was just awesome. So awesome job to everyone who made that happen. And yeah, I'm very excited to start off my term as student trustee and represent all the Peralta districts. Right before classes started, a week before classes started, Jaslyn and I had the opportunity to attend the student trustee conference where we got to meet I think like 90 other student trustees there. And that was just like super valuable because there were student trustees who had stayed in their position. So learning from them was really great. And also just seeing like how much our colleges differ and the different strategies that all the colleges take, and then like kind of like giving our strengths and also stealing some ideas from them that we can maybe bring here. And I just want to thank Shasha and the district for letting us go to that. I think those are really great opportunities. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
I'll just say that I get really excited about budget presentations and facilities presentations. So thank you for making my evening. It was really awesome. And I'm such a nerd, but I again, hats off to you all for the work that you clearly are doing. And as Nikki said, the fact that you always are 2 steps ahead of us, which is really both reassuring, but also a bit different than in the past. So it's wonderful to be at that point. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was, how lucky are we that we had the privilege, this district and the students and the community had the privilege of having Trustee Withrow for 20 years or even more than that, 2 decades. Like, he is amazing. And I can't even imagine what he was like probably 15, 20 years ago. He had a lot of wisdom. He was incredibly intelligent, had so much experience, and was just somebody who had an incredible sense of both how to be in the world, but also, again, just had a heart for students, and particularly the middle school program. What's the program at College of Alameda? Yeah, love that program. But how lucky are we? And I'm just so glad that I had an opportunity to be with him for a period of time and learn from him. And we're thinking about him. We always will be, but just wanted to let him know and his family know.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to getting back into the district at our next meeting. You know, Bill and I go back quite a long way. We were at odds frequently. He even brought me up for censure at one point, lost that one. And then we became close friends. I think kind of putting aside differences and squabbles and really just like, look, let's focus on where we agree and what we can get done. And I really feel like that's made all the difference in the world. Having a board that works together, and that Bill was able to travel that journey along with me was really commendable. I've stayed in touch with him, was checking in with him every month or two to see how he's doing. And he, he's struggling. There's no hiding that. But his love for this district is really, really enduring. And I think that those of you who have a relationship with him, I really encourage you to give him a call and just say hello. Makes a huge difference. Service to his community and to our district has been really important to him. And I'm really glad we took the opportunity to honor him tonight. So thank you. I'll have more reports on the league convention coming up in November when I get back in September, and with the League Progressive Caucus, which is making great strides between conventions. So thank you.
And with that, our meeting is.
Sorry, it's my turn. The fall semester has begun at the Peralta Community Colleges. Enrollment is ongoing with short-term classes beginning throughout the semester. There are express enrollment events and expanded support hours at the colleges. For more information, visit the individual college websites. The Peralta Colleges will be closed Monday, September 7th in observance of Labor Day.
Now we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Great job, everyone.